So
All
it'd have
bonds
to be,
have to be on referendum.
If it did go through the IBA, that's right.
yeah.
Well, for the county to issue bonds by itself, it has to go through referendum.
Yeah.
Then how do you sign off on bonds for the IBA and the airport authority now without going on referendum?
Because we back the bonds that they're doing, they have the authority to do it, and we run it through them. However, we still back the bonds through the taxpayers.
Because nobody's gonna buy the bonds from the airport.
Put it this way, we got an airport authority right now and an IBA that can't get any bonds.
That's
They
what I'm
can't even
saying.
go down to the local bank and borrow money.
But what
They
is,
really
what is the
can't.
difference in you backing the bond and you issuing a bond? I mean, you're
State
committing-
law.
State law.
No.
State law actually
Why I
allows for
hate our
that.
government.
And to be honest with you, this is where I go back to, this is, and I'm sorry to take
It
it.
wouldn't take 2 years though, Larry, I'm gonna argue with you about that.
Okay,
Well,
well,
that's
my
my
understanding
concern.
was it had to be brought up as a ballot during an election cycle, so every 2 years we'll meet.
Well, you got primaries, you got
Right.
generals, you got.
Well, I think it's safe to say that authority can issue bonds easier than a county can.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they can't, nobody's gonna buy the bonds unless they're backed by the county in most cases, because authorities really have no income stream to pay the back bond.
At this time.
Right.
Not
At this
30
time.
years from now.
Yeah. At this particular time.
Right.
So, I'm in favor of, keeping the authority with the changes we have here to the extent at some later point in time, it's self-sustaining and continue to grow, so maybe it could be absorbed by the department, but not to mention there's a whole bunch of legal hurdles there, but, with that,
Guess that shows my vote. At least it's not a majority vote.
Unanimous, not unanimous.
we're open and transparent here.
I still would like to find out why so many of the airports, commercial airports alone, and it's almost the reverse for general aviation. Most of the general aviation is airport authorities.
You still have time to convince us.
Well, I'm just gonna find out where a win, lose, tie, or draw. I'm gonna find out
Yeah.
my own.
Right, but I mean,
The local
even if you take
government wants
the,
the money.
even if you go to Washington DC, they have the Washington Metro Aviation Authority. So they have an authority that oversees Ronald Reagan, oversees Dulles International, and they have some.
That's the very one he used for the example today. They're owned by the city, the district.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're WMA.
Anyway,
We need to be careful when we say locally controlled, is that the government itself or another entity that may be?
So they have, up in DC, it's no different than, say, the New York City Authority, where they have.
The Port Authority.
The Port Authority.
Yeah.
They have their own police department, they have their own, they have their own authority to do as they please within the property confines of what they have. Washington Dulles itself actually sits within Loudoun County. Loudoun County has really no authority whatsoever over the property. In fact, Loudoun County Sheriff's Department can't even go onto the toll road that passes through the Washington Metro Aviation property and actually ticket you. That is only to be done by their police force. So they do have authority. They have an overreaching ability to do as they please with
that's
their
the
own
same
property.
down in Atlanta too. They got the line of sight, that's where they're parking too.
Exactly. They do have their own police department for Atlanta.
So, if everybody's good, I think we finished with authority versus county before we, any other
I'd
final
like to
comments?
say one thing.
Yeah.
John brought that up as far as, I guess what you were saying is it's just the opposite when it comes to general aviation. It's
Yeah.
more run by authorities. And I told Dave I'm gonna throw my 2 cents worth in. It's probably worth a half a cent to some of y'all. But this airport's been here for 6 years. And I'm not really for the authority, but I don't have a say-so in this. But for 6 years, since 2004 when this was announced, it's been open for 6 years, and as far as I'm concerned, I'll say it on record, I've said it, I don't think the authority's done that good of a job. And if you take away this building that the state gave us $3 million for, and the county put another $750,000 in, you take away those hangars out there that a private citizen has that he leases the land underneath it from the airport authority, you take away that water tower that we did the bond for, citizens back the bond for. You take away that hangar that's being built right there that the citizens did the bond for. You tell me what's been done out here that's been successful to make this successful. And-
Blake even made
And I'm just, excuse me, I'm just telling you that it's been here 6 years. This place was supposed to be the best thing since sliced bread when it was announced in 2004. I want the General Aviation Airport to be successful. But we're not successful as a General Aviation Airport. The Airport Authority hasn't proven to me that they can be successful as a General Aviation Airport. And so I'm personally not willing to give them a chance at something else, to not be successful.
Well, maybe that's because it's an IBA board, not a.
Well, it's still the Airport Authority. I mean, it's still, not
Established
me.
it, what, years ago.
And one comment that was made by a couple of you, and I think there's some good intentions here, and I think y'all are doing a great job on a lot of things, but I'm putting in my 2 cents. A couple of the comments were made about the board selection, and you put in the commissioners, the chairman, the mayors, and so forth. And then I believe you said it. You said, and then that way they get that information, they pass it on out to the citizens and who they represent, who votes them in office, right? We got a chairman of the board of commissioners. We got 2 mayors. We have a sitting commissioner now that was on the airport authority, and we want to talk about doing our legal notices better. We couldn't even give notice to the commissioner, and nobody gave notice to the citizens. And so I don't think just that makeup of the board fixes that, okay? Now, I
Sounds like
think
you have
you're
commissioners
giving it
that-
a good shot, but I don't think it 100% fixes everything. It'll fix a lot, but a commissioner, sitting commissioner, Larry, shouldn't have to do open records to find out
No,
something.
sir, but if you actually attended the meetings and actually saw what happened, then you wouldn't have these problems
I'm
either.
a commissioner that's been in office for 3.5 years, never missed a meeting. I've been to more of these meetings than
Which is
anybody
funny.
else.
So can I suggest we get back to the purpose of the meeting?
Yeah, you and I'll take this offline after this.
Let me finish my thoughts on this real quick.
No, sir, no, that's a threat, and I'll take the motion for
Time
that one.
out, guys.
Take it out front.
I'm the only Marine that can try it here. You guys aren't authorized this week. Blake made a comment that made me think of this also, and the reason, he says, I've got 16 bosses. If you've got it under an airport authority, he's got 1 boss. That's the majority of the commissioners. And if you stop and look at what, if we take stay with the airport authority, and we say, okay, you've got to make a hard line between the airport authority and the county commissioners on approving bonds. And if you take all of the liberties away from them that they can't exercise anyway, what difference does it make whether it's a AA or an AD? I mean, it's the same thing. They get the same funding, they got, the same restrictions, except you've got less bureaucracy and you've got direct accountability to the Board of Commissioners. I just think it's a simpler way of doing business. There again, Marine Corps is chain of command. You've got 1 boss and you don't have to worry
Oh,
about it.
don't even talk about the Marines.
So,
How many times were you counterfeited by a general?
oh, lots of times. But there again, that was my 1 boss. So, but those are my thoughts and those are my concerns. And I have to agree with the performance of all of our authorities, not just don't focus in on the airport guys. So we've got lots.
So as an operator, I'll throw my 2 cents worth in. When I bring my Piper Comanche in to land, I'd rather land on this nice paved runway out here than somebody's cow pasture that was here
But what-
before. So in my
But what difference
perspective,
would it make?
well, safety.
No. What difference is going to make whether this place is?
No, my point is that the airport authority has accomplished something that nobody else in the state of Georgia has accomplished in over 45 years. This is the only airport that's been open
So is
in
movie-
the state of
So is the
Georgia.
movie studio.
Well, I just said, as an operator, I think this is a wonderful thing
It
for
is
the
a
county.
fantastic airport.
Right, so to say they've not accomplished anything, I think would be unfair. I think it's been a major accomplishment that I don't think an airport department would have been able to pull off in the 6-year timeframe.
I don't
That's
think
just
you
my
would have known
personal
the
opinion.
difference, to be honest. I don't think he would.
It never would have happened. It wouldn't be.
Never would've- I don't think so.
All right, so,
Anyway,
I wanted to, we've got a good rapport with our citizen attendees here that regularly come here and spend an hour and a half listening to all this information and discussion. So, what we're trying to do is focus on kind of overall policy issues about kind of what we talked about today and the economic development presenters. So, wanted to open up the discussion, about five minutes per person. We didn't really have any issues before, but, so if we have anybody that'd like to talk.
I'd just like to make one comment. I still am of the opinion that we would be better off if we had an airport department. And the reason I say that is we have an airport department now, and it's funded by $400,000 this next budget year. And in fact, it got $100 and something thousand increase from the budget hearing until the budget was finally passed in August of this year. Now, I look at it as very similar to any other department, and let's just take the DOT. The DOT they got a lot of money coming into the DOT, and they have that money there, and they have to run that department, and they have to set a budget to run that department. And if they go over that budget, then they're gonna have to come to somebody and say why. Now, the airport authority don't have to do that, and the reason I say that is she will tell you, she was at the first meeting of the airport when it was brought up. Blake Swafford and Calvin Thompson was there, and they said, this airport is gonna cost us $24 million. Right there on videotape. Anybody wants to look at it, I'll provide it for you. When the airport was opened as a general aviation airport in November of 2008, it was $34 million. $10 million over budget already. Today, the last information I had today, we are right at, from 2008, when this administration took over, till today, we're right at $60 million for this airport and this facility. Now, something's wrong. If you think the airport authority done a fantastic job, where was that money spent? It's just like Todd said, $3 million of it is not even in that figure because the state of Georgia built this facility. The IBA didn't build it, the airport authority didn't build it, the state of Georgia gave us the money to build this. The county had to put in $750,000. This building was supposed to be built by private enterprise, remember? The authority has not done a very good job. I'm sorry, but they have not done a very good job. Yes, they got a nice facility here, but it's about 3 times the cost of what it should have originally costed.
So your statement then is that your recommendation is to be an airport department because of more accountability?
It's already an airport department. They budgeted right there in this year's county budget $400 and something thousand for the airport department. It pays the 2 employees that's working here, and it keeps the upkeep. In addition to that, you got $150 or something thousand that comes from the FAA just for the upkeep. Where's the money going? It's time to put somebody, if that guy right there he's not my commissioner, but if this guy's my commissioner there, and if he's spending money that it shouldn't be spent on an airport, then I'm gonna vote against him next time. If any of y'all was on that airport committee and was spending money, was that far over budget on this project right here, you would have to face the people. They are the final people that has to say yea or nay on the money anyway. Why shouldn't they be the ones that make the decision on it?
Well, I'd like to see the information I have. Those numbers just seem huge to me, but as far as being over budget, but
And how much of it is actually backed by the FAA? So let me ask that question. Of that 60
What
million,
difference does it make?
It makes a big difference.
The difference to me makes it, that what it was said to start with, it wasn't gonna cost us 1 red cent, right? We have, the people of Paulding County has got over $7 million in it, and that don't include the 1.2 million for that, the 3 million for this, and the 6 million for the sewage out there. That's our money in that. The FAA ain't paid for everything here.
That's-
You think that the FAA paid for this, they didn't. IBA didn't pay for it, or the airport authority didn't pay for it.
I asked how much of the 60 million is funded through the FAA?
How much of what?
How much of the 60 million that you're accusing the airport authority of wasting, how much of it is being backed by the FAA?
52 million.
Okay. So they'll eventually get their 90% reimbursement from the FAA based off of that figure.
52 million of it, so.
And I was gonna say, you gotta keep in mind that you're talking about accountability. Well, they're accountable to FAA. If you run over FAA's, you're gonna be accountable to them, so they cannot run over.
They already over,
Not
bro.
with FAA funds.
Well, go back and look at the fin. The fin said 24 million for this deal
I
right
understand
here.
what you're saying overall.
We're over
I'm talking about
60 million
anything-
now.
Anything comes from FAA, they've still gotta meet whatever.
Then they got the money from
Okay.
somewhere else, cause they got $60 million in it. And I'll show you the letter from Mike Jones if you'd like to see it.
Absolutely.
Well, I'd be glad to do it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so let's talk about maybe getting some type of accounting, and that seems to go to the crux of airport versus county department and board. So see how difficult it would be to basically have some type of accounting for this, where the money's come from. These are some pretty big numbers, but, so, anybody else?
My biggest problem with the authority, aside from the fact that they have done a horrible job, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, is an authority is able to circumvent the voters, the taxpayers. That's not okay, because we know firsthand what kind of problems that can cause. We need better protection.
So you're would say to do away with authority and have a department so that they can't issue debt more directly without county involvement?
It's not
Can't do it
even,
now.
it's not even just about the debt. It's about, people have spoken twice. We did not want this airport here. Had there not been an authority to get around us, we would not have an airport here today.
That's not necessarily true, because the city of Atlanta owns 10,000 acres of land, and an airport would have come one way or another.
Larry, let's be realistic, okay? Atlanta clearly has no desire to put an airport in
But
here
they have the
now,
ability
okay?
to do it if they
Chances
want to.
are, as of today, there'd be no airport here, okay?
So let me ask this question, and I'm just being polite as much as possible, but here we go. So with 10,000 acres of land that's owned by the city of Atlanta, and they gave us back 162 acres of it to build an airport here.
Sold you back.
Okay,
Go
they sold
ahead.
back 162 acres. What if the city of Atlanta had chosen to actually build a second commercial airport here? Who would you have representation through, the Paulding County elected officials or the city of Atlanta? Because you would probably more than likely have to go down there and actually argue against them, more so than you have any control here. I think the recommendations that we've made as far as making a change to the makeup of the Airport Authority Board to make it more representative of the actual post commissioners provides a better ability for you all as citizens to give feedback that then gets relayed to the Airport Authority versus what may have happened if the city of Atlanta had done what it could possibly have done.
City of Atlanta couldn't done that without the approval of the Board of Commissioners. It would have to be zoned for an airport.
It was already.
City of Atlanta, it was not zoned for an airport. Never has been zoned for an airport.
Okay,
The
so
city of Atlanta would had to come to the commissioners to zone.
let's
I
try
don't know where
and
you
focus
got
on
that at.
going forward.
Okay,
as far
well,
as-
hypotheticals mean nothing to me, okay? If there was an airport here 3.5 years ago when I moved here, an Atlanta airport, I would not have moved here, okay? So, I mean, that's a waste of time, even talking about it. Hey, what's going to happen if they decide they do want to put an airport up here? Okay, so I mean, there are lots of, possibilities.
Well, they could also turn it into a landfill if they wanted to. They can do any number of
Maybe a
things with that
nuclear power
10,000 acres. of land.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you have no
But you know what, let's talk about
recourse.
our
gotta be
reality right
something.
now. I'm against the authority, first and foremost, because it takes too much power away from the people. And this is America, okay? We expect democracy to protect us, not to invent ways to get around us. Yes, so that's my biggest concern. But yeah, like I said, clearly, it's not working. And even if you fix, the legislation behind the board does not necessarily make a successful airport, be it general aviation or commercial or whatever. There's so many other factors. And you know what? No, that's a different subject. I'll stop. Thank you. Oh, wait, real quick. I am really opposed to the idea of having even just one person be on both the Airport Authority Board and the IBA Board, because inevitably, people will find a way to make that person be the most convenient person for everybody's agenda. It's a problem waiting to happen. So totally separate boards.
Any other?
Hi, I am actually new to Paulding County, and I came from Fayette County, where Falcon Field is. My background is I grew up in aviation. My whole family is in aviation. In fact, my dad has 42 years at Delta Airlines. I also worked in general aviation for Stevens Aviation at Falcon Field Airport and Professional Aviation Associates. Coming to this county, you guys have an amazing county. It's definitely something that has been hidden and protected, and it's a beautiful secret of a county, and I don't think I want to leave. But what I can say is I'm a business owner, and I have seen what an airport could bring to a county. It brings jobs, it grows your restaurants, your hotels, your transportation. It also gives us as business owners the opportunity to be able to travel not all the way to Hartsfield Airport to do a quick turnaround. It keeps us close to our families when we arrive back. It also opens it up to the opportunities of general aviation actually coming in here. Like Gulfstream actually wanted to look at Falcon Field, to bring Gulfstream to Falcon Field and have a separate service area than where they're at in Savannah. Not closing Savannah, but just having an alternate. For me, I would like to see that maybe us as citizens, yes, nothing is perfect, but we all need to be pardoned. We all need to have forgiveness, and we know where we've all done wrong. So now we take these notes and we do the absolute best that we can to move forward and look in our future, because I'm a mom, I'm a single mom, and I have a business, and I want to grow it. And I want to grow it so well that my daughter will have opportunities that are beyond what I can do right now for myself. So in order to do that, bringing in, not just leaving the airport as it is, but maybe asking us as citizens and maybe trying to get us to, our fellow aviators, to promote other businesses to come in, to sell parts, to house your airplanes, to build bigger hangars, and to really utilize the airport as it is supposed to be utilized. Maybe bringing in more conference centers so that maybe our law enforcement will have more areas to protect us and to be here to, to do what everybody's supposed to do, is to work together. And I'm not trying to be the peacemaker. I'm just saying that there is other opportunities out there that we can actually do to grow and to work together, and we're not ever going to all be happy. There's not going to ever be everything where every dollar is spent exactly how it's supposed to be spent. But maybe the new way of the new outlook of the Airport Authority, now that you guys understand how aggressive and how upset that the citizens may be at this point, that you guys will work super hard to just prove that, we're sorry, we are going to move forward, and we're going to do the best that we can from this point on. And I know that everyone in this room has had a first love of their life, but we may not have continued to have that relationship. But then you found this another person in your future that became the love of your life. So basically what I'm saying is, you may not like where you stand right now with the airport and what has been done, but maybe you will love what the future will bring that you guys can actually help put in place. And it's going to take the support of, yes, your citizens here in Paulding County to have the opportunity to voice their opinions and say, we do want to create more jobs. We do want to create futures for our children and our grandchildren, and maybe even bring forth a technical side where we can put a technical school so that we can teach our children who are in high school and junior high that they can come and be a part of aviation and be proud that they live in Paulding County and that we can uplift this side. And maybe there isn't enough land, or maybe there is, or maybe the runway can be extended, or other buildings can be built. But I think that I'm in support of you guys making a difference and maybe changing the outlook of what most citizens that are upset and hurt over whatever has happened in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments before we get ready to adjourn? We've got one of our new commission chairs here. Mr. Collette, did you have any comments you want to say about?
No, I'm just listening right now, taking everything in, and
Okay.
in January, I'm sure I have a lot to say.
Okay. All right, with that, does anybody have any closing comments? I think the next meeting, we're going to finish out the rest of this and really get toward wrapping things up. We've got comments that will be circulated, and anyone here can, supplement their remarks here with anything to email or deliver. But with that, I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Amen.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
You know the